Hello everyone. In this session we will look into how to add a new record in the existing table using PHP and Laravel framework. Now the database which I am using is MySQL. Name of the database is phptut and the table which we will be using over here is of mobiles. Now this table consists of 5 attributes, namely brand, model, RAM, storage and rate. What are the entries you see in this table? I have taken that from Flipkart. Now coming to the objective of adding a new record, so what we're doing, I have already created one page and in this page I have added these 5 fields, namely one drop down list to select the brand, then 4 text fields to enter model, then RAM, internal storage and rate. Once user add this and then click on submit button, what will happen? All this data will be passed to this table named mobiles. Now to do this, we'll use the concept of Laravel, that is MVC. Stands for model, view and controller. As far as view is concerned, we have this view. Name of this view is add prod. How it is done, how this view is getting called up is completely given in the description. Now thereafter what we have, the model will be linking to the table mobiles. So what we'll do, we'll first create one model. So let's give the command php artisan make model. Let's consider name of model is mobile itself. So with this we got a new model over here. In app under models you will find model. Now once we create this model mobile, we need to provide the value to the attributes. Very first attribute is table with access specifier keeping as protected. So protected attribute table, and the value for this will be nothing but the name of our external table. Name of external table is mobile. So I copy this and I paste over here. Alright, once done, thereafter we will create the controller. So controller is basically what we are going to create is a child class of the parent class called controller. Okay, so first let's create the controller, then we'll look into that what actually it is. So php artisan make controller mobile controller. Alright, so here we get another class called mobile controller which extends the parent controllers. So mobile controller is our child class. So basically whenever we want to perform any functions or any operations those are related to this table such as mobiles, then all those functions will be stored in this, or we'll call upon those functions using this class. So let's consider the very first function what we want to do, or operation what we want to do, is to add a new product. So for that purpose, let's consider we are creating one function, public function. Let's consider add new product. So that's it. So whenever we are going to add a new product, that means through this page what will happen, we'll call upon this function called add new product. So these values, that is brand, model and other things, will be passed in terms of parameters to the function called add new product. Now whenever we are sending the parameters, that will be sent in the form of a request. Alright, so request, let's consider name of the parameter itself is request. Thereafter, once we receive the parameters, then we are going to fire the SQL query. SQL query will be of type insert into tables, that is mobiles, and then values. How many parameters we require? We require 5 parameters. So first parameter, second parameter, third parameter, fourth parameter and fifth parameter. Alright, so if there is no error, if the query is proper, then it will be executed. However, we do not execute the query directly. Rather, in order to perform the operations on this table mobiles, we will be using this model named mobile. So our query will be in the form of, now AJAX insert query it will be of the type name of model that is representing or referencing to this class or this table is mobile, and then create function. And in this create function we'll pass the values by using the concept of key value pair to the respective attributes of the table. Now corresponding attributes of the table are brand. Let me go like this. These are the attributes: brand, then model, then RAM, after that we have storage, lastly rate. We won't add anything to id because id is primary key over there and it's of type auto increment. So these are the attributes, and the values will be passing it through these parameter request. Alright, so let's consider like this. To assign the value we use equal to arrow operator, and we will fetch it from request input, and from here the key value will be brand. Alright, so let me copy this first. Similarly for model, it will be model. For RAM, it will be RAM itself. For storage, we'll have storage keyword, and for rate we'll have rate. How these values are getting passed, we'll have a look in that in a minute. Storage, then here it is RAM, and then model. Alright, so these are the attributes which will be sent while calling the function. Alright, finally semicolon. However, Laravel won't permit you to execute this directly because there may be some errors. It may be error due to SQL connections, or it may be due to some port error or something or other sort. So for that purpose we will need to include this statement in our try catch block. So let's add this in our try block, and in catch let's use the direct object exception catch. Let me rearrange this properly. Okay, so there's error for exception. Let's use exception directly here. Use exception. And second, it's giving error for this mobile because we need to import that. Use app/models and then mobile. That's it. With this error is removed. However, what will happen the moment we click on this submit button, the request will be sent via this function, and it will get executed, and at last this function has to return some value. So it is going to return the response. So let it be return response. Now this response again will be in the form of JSON format, and key value pair. Let's consider message, and the value for this message or value for this key message, let it be a record added successfully. Let's consider with port number 200. Alright, any mistake? Return what's the error here? Return response JSON message. Okay, and now that's proper. Similarly, in the case, let's consider if there is an error. Okay, so let display the error. So again, error is going to send in the form of response. Again, that response will send it in the JSON format. Okay, with the message, let it be of type error, and let's specify what's the error is. Okay, so $e dot get message, and let's consider we are displaying that with port number 500. Alright, so that's it. So the moment we click on the submit button, all these 4 values will be sent in the form of a request to the function add product or add new product, and it will get executed. If there is any error, it will display the error. But anyways, we don't have direct link between the click event of this button and the function that is declared in the controller class. But in order to get that, what we'll do, we'll use AJAX query. So let's go to the view of add new product. Over here we'll add one function that will be called upon once we click on the button submit. Alright, so let's come to that topic. Okay, already we have written over there, on clicking this button we are gonna call upon the function add product. So we'll declare or implement this function in the script. So if I consider the base template, my base template is base itself. So over here, if you look into this, I have created one separate section wherein I will be using or adding some scripts. Okay, so name of the section is scripts itself. So let me copy this, and after this section I will create another section. Let's consider not this section. Name of section is scripts. Inside this I will add the script. Alright, so function, name of function is add product. So we'll first link it properly, and then we'll add the JavaScript. Okay, and let's say we just write alert hello world. Alright, now let's execute this first. Let me refresh. Okay, on clicking submit button, it's calling that corresponding function, and we're getting hello world. So that means this is properly linked. Now we'll use AJAX query. Alright, now the AJAX query requires of 4 parameters. $.ajax, and your parameters are first URL. So what's that URL? We'll look into that afterwards. Second, method, how you want to send the data. So it will be post, and then what data we want to say. Now let me split this mobile controller or either of this. So let me split this part itself. Let me right click and let's say split to right. Better. So along mobile controller we have said that to the fields or attributes brand, model, storage, RAM, we are saying we are going to assign the values brand, model, RAM, storage, and rate. So this is how we are sending the data. Brand, okay, what the value, we'll look it afterwards. Brand, then model, okay, then RAM, storage, and last rate. Okay, so these are the parameters which we are going to send, but value for these parameters will be nothing but values of these HTML components. Now if I look into the source code, or instead of going for the source code, if I drag this a bit, let me adjust the screen over here. Alright, let me minimize this. Okay, so over here, so what we are having, brand. So brand is the value that will taking from this select component. Alright, then model will be value of the text name model. Similarly, RAM will be the value that will fetching from the text field called RAM. So as the storage and rate. And to fetch the value, I'm gonna to use the jQuery. Okay, so I keep the same for everyone, and later on we'll add the values. Alright, hash dot val. This is how we are gonna to fetch the value. So let me copy this and add it for everyone, for model, RAM, storage, and rate. Okay, so for brand, name of the HTML component itself is brand. I make sure that the name of the attributes and the name, or instead of saying attributes, the name of the HTML components and this attributes name, I kept the same. So brand, your brand, then its model. Let me copy this. You will see that it's the same. So as for RAM, it remains the same, and so as for storage, and last, rate. All right. Finally, after data, what you're going to have, it's going to return either it will return the success or the failure, but in either of the case, it's going to do sort of a function. Success will take only one function, that is data, or one parameter, that is data, and here we'll just display the message, alert. Let's consider we display the data, whatever we are getting. Okay, and our data, if you look into this, data is here in JSON format. All right, so what we would require from this, we want the value record successfully but stored in the key message, so we are using message over here. Okay, this function will be called in the case there is no error, but in the case if there is an error, then again we are going to call upon the function, but that function is going to take 3 inputs, namely XHR, status, and then the error. All right, and here again we'll use alert, and let's say we are saying it's an error, and let's display what error is by using XHR dot. It's a response text. All right, and at the end, semicolon. So let me check with this properly if it is proper or not. So URL $.ajax. Okay, URL, we need to provide the URL properly. Then method. All right, then data. So these are the data what we are sending it. Then if success, then and if error. Okay, now coming to the URL. Now that URL you need to specify in your web.config file or web.php file. So let me open that web.php. Okay, web.php. So here, so what I will do, let me open this PHP over here. Okay, so let's create the route. Name of the route we do not have over here, so let's create the route, and that route has to be of type post. Okay, so after that we need to specify the name of the route. Let's consider name of the route is add prod. So I copy this and I paste over here. Okay, so if the form what you are submitting, it's of the type post, then you are going to call upon this method. But what should happen once we call upon this method, we need to call upon once this route is getting called, we need to call upon this function named as add new product, to which we need to pass these things as a parameter. All right, so what we'll do, once it is done, then to call upon the function we'll use let me 1 second, let me align it properly. Okay, then name of a controller class, mobile controller, specify that it's a class, and from this you want to call upon the function named as add product. So let me remove this. I'll directly say add product. That's it, and at the end, semicolon. So that's how we have combined MVC, model, view, and controller. So let's save it. It's already auto save. Let's refresh this page, but still there will be errors. One error is regarding the table mobile. We are directly populating these fields, or directly populating the table. In the case we are doing ad hoc, directly adding or populating that table, then we need to provide those columns where you want to directly add the elements by using fillable property. So for this model, you need to again provide those let me say, provide the name of those columns wherein you are gonna to add the values directly. All right, so one is that what we say lot allotment. Okay, brand, then model, then RAM, and last I'm taking the name of this attributes. All right, table attributes: brand, model, RAM, storage, and rate. RAM, storage, and last one is your rate. All right, that's it. All right, now let's execute this. First let me open the table, executing that. All right, so now let's refresh this. So let me take Samsung S25, RAM let's consider 12 GB, internal storage 256 GB. let's say I'm giving something as 1,20,000. if any error it will display it. Okay, it says hello world, that means that function is getting called up, and now it's saying this error it's saying is column not found. What are the column names? Update at. Okay, so basically what happens in Laravel, it provides a feature, additional columns such as when you have updated it. So we need to provide the date timestamp. So instead of providing date timestamp, if you want you can add it, or else what you can say, you can disable that date timestamp. All right, so let me check with this over here. If I display this, nothing has been added. All right, but now I will make little bit changes in the model over here. I say timestamp, again it has to be public its attribute time stamps. All right, so let it say equal to false, and I save it. Now if I submit this, say hello world, okay, and it says record added successfully. Let me click OK. All right, now let me go to this table, MySQL workbench, and let's click over here. Here we get it. Samsung S25, 12 GB, 250 GB, 1,20,000. That related ID, forget about that. I have done some additional insert statement because the ID was getting incremented. So that's how you basically add a new record in the table. So I repeat in a little faster sense. This was the table which I have already created, or the page which I have already created. Name of this route was add product. So objective was to add a new record to the external table. So when you are going to add a new record or perform any code operations or whatever it may be, Laravel works on the concept of MVC, that is model, view, and controller. The first thing is what we require to set up the view. So I have already set up the view. View is nothing but you can say the front end, what the user is gonna to see. Thereafter we require the model. Model is nothing but one reference to your table. All right, so we create that reference by using the command php artisan make model. View, where is terminal over here. Okay, so we give that command php artisan make model and name of the model. So once you provide name of model in your HTTP folder, under models you will get that model. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to provide, or at least provide 3 parameters or attributes, default attributes of this model. First one is table. So this is used to refer the external table or whatever the table you are creating it. So the external table is mobiles, so provide it. Secondly, if you are going to do some insert statement directly, okay, then in that case you need to provide, tell that you are doing mass allotment. And mass allotment, what are those mass allotment? So whatever the fields you want to add it initially, provide that. So again it has to be of type protected, fillable, and then whatever the attributes you want to perform for the mass allotment. And finally, if you don't want to provide the timestamp when that row was created, then you can set that parameter to be false. Okay, so this is also your model. Once you are done with this, then you need to create one separate class. and using that class will be performing n number of operations. Those are related to your current model. Okay, so a model was mobile, so I created one controller named mobile controller, and to create that we use the function php artisan make controller mobile controller. So the moment you execute this, you get a controller over here. Now this controller is the child class, or this controller, mobile controller, is the child class of the parent class named controller. So here you put on those functions. Right now we have added only, the function was to add a product. So we created one function named add product, and rest thing is over here. Okay, finally, once you are done with this, what was the objective? Objective is the moment you click on submit button, all the details what you added over here, those should be passed as a parameter to this function. But this is view, alright, and the function is in the controller. So you cannot have direct link between the view, that is the HTML page, and the controller. To do that, we use routes and nothing but what we use the AJAX over here. Alright, so for AJAX, again, AJAX is not basically used for this purpose, but we want to update the limited part of that part, alright, without refreshing the complete page. But anyway, the page itself is over here. So what I do, I use the AJAX query. So the moment you click on submit button, we'll move to the page over here. In this in the script, I will use AJAX query. For AJAX query, we require basically the three parameters: URL, method, and data. URL is nothing but the route which are going to specify in web.php file. Here the route name was add product. Alright, so you are having add product, but if you look over here, we are having two add routes of the same name. One is add product and second one is also add product, but the method is different. One is get, second one is post. So for while submitting that button, or clicking on submit that button, you are calling the route of type post. Okay, so URL, method, and lastly the data. The data has to be in JSON format, so key value pair, and finally then success and error. So that's it. In the case you are liked, then hit like and subscribe. Thank you.